Number 1. Hell's Angels. For a tough biker gang like the Hell's Angels, you'd expect their initiation ritual to be something along the lines of making a risky deal or ramming into a police car. You know, anything that speaks for the gang's violent streak. But the truth isn't bloody. Instead, the leadership puts the potential recruits through the deepest pits of humiliation and belittling. Sure, the gang maintains that it's just a bunch of men bonded through their common love for motorcycles and leather clothing, but their unhygienic baptism would tell you an entirely different story. To win the right to wear the Hells Angels regalia, one would have to do a lot of dirty work, quite literally. On the day of initiation, the senior leadership gathers and fills buckets and buckets with their urine and fecal matter. Yep, you heard that right. The unhygienic baptism entails that the potential member learns to show the highest form of loyalty to their seniors. And that can only be gauged by doing the most embarrassing thing ever: bathe in the excrement of the leadership. All of the buckets are poured over the recruit's head, and for the rest of the day he can't shower, wash his face, or change his clothes. Only then would he be given the right to wear the gang's jacket. But even before the baptism, the prospects are also made to do the grunt work for the senior members. From buying their beer to collecting the risky extortion money, the hazing process is intense. Not as intense as taking a bath in fecal matter, though. Number 2. Aryan Brotherhood. Ah yes, the AB boys don't mess around. Their durability and endurance to some intense scrutiny and crackdown just didn't happen overnight. It is their strong chokehold on the members that have made the gang disciplined and lethal. The Aryan Brotherhood thrives on 2 tenets: pure principles of neo-Nazism and their famous slogan, blood in, blood out. And it's not difficult to guess what that slogan entails. Despite being a gang that drives on political ideologies, the Alice Baker boys would only take a member in if he finishes a rival gang member or a correction officer.
Sometimes, to make a social statement, to make your presence known, you have to be very violent. Why make an enemy? Why move on somebody and leave your enemy alive so you can come back around and get you or get yours or get your family or whatever? You don't do that. If it's serious enough to move on them, you take them out. And then you do it in such a way where it's so vicious that everybody, even in a violent environment, takes notice. They say, wow, you know, and they step back and they say, don't mess with them because you'll get that. I mean, that's how you control the environments. Then once you do that and people understand it, then you can get down to business.
In order to prove yourself worthy of the gang, the senior leadership would ask the potential recruit to make his bones. In other words, kill one of their enemies in cold blood. The bloody rite of passage is also a one-way ticket to the gang. You spill blood to get in and die to get out. Simply put, there was no way out from the gang. The recruits not only make the bones to be sworn in, but they also have to get boned to call it a day. Today, the gang poses a violent threat with at least 20,000 members under its allegiance. So, that could only mean one thing. Many mysterious deaths of the police officers can be credited to the Aryan Brotherhood, and they don't seem to stop. Number 3. Taitung crime syndicates. When Taiwan's lethal United Bamboo Gang was tried for racketeering in 1986, the court was shocked to learn about their initiation ceremony. In the live retelling of the Dracula-centric ritual, the members were forced to prick their fingers with needles to drip their blood into a full wine glass. Drinking that contaminated drink was the only way in. People in Taiwan were horrified when they learned about the ways of the gang. If only they knew how the crime syndicates in Taitung, Taiwan would evolve their brutality. Now the gangs base their initiation ceremony on the town's beloved Festival of Lights, bombarding Master Handan. The event attracts hundreds of tourists to Taitung. Yet, when the lights go out, the event takes a dark, twisted turn. Most gangs in the city have a barbaric ritual for new recruits. The gang members throw firecrackers at a shirtless inductee, just like people light up the fireworks during the actual event to celebrate the deity of wealth. The ritualistic ceremony is far from a celebration. The leadership tests the gang for their pain tolerance levels and their stubbornness towards the underworld. Inductees are required to wear a mask, and they don't have any protective gear to dodge the burns, and if the men can't take it, they're weeded out of the process. The last man standing is likely to suffer from hearing loss, but that comes with a pretty hefty promotion within the ranks of the gang. In hindsight, the blood-stained wine ritual seems tame, but equally horrifying. Interesting, isn't it? Subscribe to our channel for insightful free videos like these. Number 4. Bloods. The United Blood Nation has terrorized the streets of New York for decades now. Their knack for supplying illicit drugs has lured many young people into the world of despair. Many fall into the trap of addiction, and others want a piece of the Bloods' lifestyle. Yet, getting into the gang isn't easy. It is the ultimate test of one's affinity with violence and bloodshed. Since the Bloods have different divisions across many regions, their initiation rituals vary. But the highest order of the gang only takes in recruits if they beat up a stranger or a member of the rival cartel. So far, it seems the usual Tuesday for the Bloods, right? Far from it. The practice is called Buck 50. In the process, the potential recruit has to slash the cheek of his victim with a box cutter in such a way that it should take at least 150 stitches to stop the bleeding. Anything less than that means the inductee doesn't get sworn in. And that's just the start of their violent journey as the members of the Bloods. Number 5. The Numbers Gang.
You don't want to go to prison because the devil is waiting for you, and he'll never let you go.
Born out of the severity of apartheid, the Numbers Gang from South Africa had a unique way to fight off racial inequalities. Now operating as a violent prison gang that doesn't take a no for an answer, the members of this faction are literally everywhere. Pick a prison in the country, and you'd see them thriving and controlling the correction officers. Ever since the police's crackdown on their recruits, the gang has particularly turned hostile towards law enforcement. You'd think that's not terribly uncommon, right? Gangs usually find their number one enemy in the cops, but it's their initiation ritual that sets them apart. The top dogs of the gang are the 28s, who also happen to be the most violent lot of the faction. These people are known for waging the general election, which means taking complete control over an entire prison. So far, the 28s keep losing to the 26s, and their solution is to acquire the toughest pick of the litter. The gold line trajectory for the 28s means that a recruit has to finish a corrections officer, or he can choose the silver line. Spend your nights as the erotic slave for the 28s leadership.
Get down. One time, down. Down. Weil so alles kann kommen der Blutung über mein General Tigitela. Spikana. Salute. Salute.
Once a person offers himself as a recruit, there's no going back. Number 6. Knights Templar. The notoriously brutal Mexican gang is studied worldwide for their psychopathic torture rituals. But it is, in fact, their wild initiation rule that takes their violent streak to a whole new level. Don't get us wrong, the cartel has left bodies boiled and headless, yet turning their own members into raging cannibals is definitely a new spectrum of the psychopathic plane. The potential recruits of the gang are left with two choices: eat a human heart raw or die. You heard that right. In the ceremony, the members are presented with a bleeding heart. Yes, quite literally, from one of the dismembered bodies of the gang's enemies. To show their utmost loyalty to the cartel's business and their super violent ways, the potential recruit has to eat all of it. The underlying idea is simple. The leadership aims to make the members subservient, and once they eat human flesh, there is no going back from their twisted, dark ways. Historically, the gang had always kept horrifying initiation rituals. From dismembering rival gang members to ending a cop, everything is on the table. Yet, the cannibalistic tradition is the newest iteration of the cartel's reign of terror in Mexico. The cartel's existence is one big irony. Their name is inspired by the centuries-old military order of the Catholics in Jerusalem, but their actions are simply ungodly. Yep, living that gang life is brutal. For more exclusive scoops on the terrors of notorious gangs, like this video and subscribe to our channel.